Welcome back. As you can probably see, a bit of a different setting today rather than my office. I'm in Ibiza. Fortunately, nice to have a bit of time out and stay at one of my good friends' villa, which they've kindly put us up in, which has been fantastic. And this is really just about talking about the channel name a bit more in granular detail, and that is going permissionless. There's been a lot happening in the news recently. There's a lot of news going on at the moment globally, but it's just interesting to kind of home in on that and what's been happening. And I really wanted just to kind of do a quick shout and discussion about what's happening out there. It's just, this channel is being developed continuously. I'm always doing updates, as you know, for the people that follow me. But it's really talking about how going permissionless is a really wonderful thing. It's looking at how you can debank yourself, how you can get out of the system essentially. And as I said earlier, there's a lot of issues with news around the world. We've just heard about Biden giving up his run for presidency. And it got me thinking, and I thought, what's going on out there? There's a lot of stuff, a lot of negative press, a lot of negative stuff happening. But when you look at it and you look at what's happened with the banks, there's a lot of people I've heard of in the last, 18 months, 2 years, and people are getting debanked really easily. There was Nigel Farage in the UK. He got debanked from Coots. Your money isn't safe in a bank. So it got me thinking, why I got into Go Permissionless channel in the first place. And it's really about engaging with property investors, engaging with entrepreneurs, engaging with business owners to discuss that there is another way out of this craziness that we're all living in at the moment. So it makes me realize, you look at the States and there's a big thing happening in America. Obviously, Trump, I said this on a previous video, the last video that I did, have a look at that. And it talks about Trump, being very pro crypto. And it was inevitable that he was going to jump on the bandwagon and, get more votes, which is great. But it made me also think about, why are they doing this? There's a bigger picture here. People understand that, when you're working with a bank and you deposit your money, whether through a business or a personal transaction, the bank has got full control over you. And it's got worse over the years. So putting your money, into a bank and leaving it there is obviously not a good investment. My view has always been property. But here's the thing. With property, the government are coming after us. So if you're an investor in property, they're making it more and more harder. And as I said on my previous video, we talked about the Labour government and how it's just an absolute nightmare to run property. Even with the Conservative government, they put a lot more taxes in place and made it harder if you had your properties in your own name to kind of move them out of your own name. And the key was to put it into a limited company wrapper. So open up a company to avoid paying, more tax. And it just feels with me, and I'm sure you guys will probably feel this if you're property investors as well, that, the government don't make it easy for you to make money. So I'm going around in a bit of a circle, but the point I'm trying to make here is it's all about going permissionless. And if you look at property, you look at any asset class that you want to make money on, the government pretty much put you over a barrel and they control you, right? Whether it be stocks and shares, there's a limitation on tax, there's taxes to pay, right? I'm not against taxes, that's not what I'm talking about here, but it's actually talking about, any sort of asset class that you want to make money. The UK government want to basically stick it up you, and they want to make it harder and harder and harder to make money. And also, I feel that a lot more jurisdiction and ownership over the people. Whereas before, you go back to 60s, 70s, 80s, and even perhaps the 90s, it was a lot easier to control your assets and make money. But I feel now it's becoming to that point where the government are now, being very authoritative, being very dictators, and it's becoming a dictatorship. What's your views? I'll be really keen to get your feedback if you're in the UK. How do you feel about the UK government at the moment? So leave your comments, let me know your thoughts. But it's just interesting, and the reason I set up this channel again was about going permissionless, and that links back to what I'm here and what I'm shouting about, and that's Bitcoin. We had an outage last week, as you probably all heard, and you might have experienced it within your workplace. And that was with Microsoft, one of their cybersecurity partners did an update and the whole network went down. Who was a part of that patch? And I've worked in IT for many years, so I understand networking. I used to be a network administrator, and I then used to sell IT network contracts. And when you use Microsoft Server and you publish an update, there was a thing called group policy, and you can push it out to your clients. What I only discovered the other day was this update that got sent out, basically, you couldn't reverse it. So you couldn't do an auto update patch to send it out. And you know why? It's because that update that got sent out basically blocked the network connection to the server. So it couldn't communicate back to the server to say, get me a new patch or receive a new patch from the administrator. So what the network administrators have to do is physically go around every single machine and amend a line of code. Once they've amended that line of code, the server can then communicate under group policy and send those updates out. And I thought that was interesting. I'm thinking, hold on a minute, we've got all these issues with the banks. We've got now, network security cyber specialists that are sending out updates and basically blocking networks. So you can't work, you can't, get on with your working life, and it makes life a real problem. So, this is all about centralized networks. So you talk about the Microsoft, the Googles, the Facebooks, the Amazons, right? It's all centralized networks. You look at Bitcoin, decentralized. And guess what? Guess what survived that outage? Any ideas? Bitcoin. Because Bitcoin's decentralized, because Bitcoin works on a node network, there is no central authority or server or government to run that, right? So when you look at it like that, you kind of think to yourself, hold on a minute, this outage that pretty much caused the NHS to go down, it caused mainstream corporate companies to go down, people couldn't work, everything came to a standstill. It was like the pandemic V2, but within the network infrastructure or data, servers, all this kind of stuff. So then I started thinking, well, the reason I started this channel was because it's all about going permissionless. And the thing that survived that network outage, and mark my words, there's going to be more of these. This is only the start. We've been very lucky up to this point. There's going to be more of these sort of patches going out. There's going to be more attacks. More attacks to start war using cybersecurity or cyber attacks. I think we're going to see a lot more of this. There are people, Russians, other sort of governments around the world that want to do black hat stuff. They can basically just bring down networks. It could be infrastructure, it could be railway networks, it could be all sorts, police networks. They can bring, anything's possible, right? So, bringing it back to Bitcoin, why are we talking about this? It's because it's decentralized versus centralized. And let's be clear on that, decentralized is Bitcoin in its beauty. That's the best way to describe it. It's a bunch of nodes on the internet that are connecting with a piece of software validating the Bitcoin transaction. So to bring down the Bitcoin network, you've got to attack every single node on the network, which is pretty much impossible. So when you look at it like that, you think, hold on a minute, this actually is pretty resilient. As I know, as of today, I don't know if Bitcoin's been ever brought down. Well, I know it hasn't been brought down, but I don't know if there's been any minor issues. So when you look at it like this, you think to yourself, wow, Bitcoin is sustainable. It can pretty much withstand a war. So if you are looking at, different investments out there, and you're into stocks and shares, that is definitely an option. You're looking at real estate, that too is an option. They all come with more authoritative from the governments and the politicians to kind of stop us making money and have a better life. So cryptography, with inside Bitcoin, it's just amazing what it can do and what it can survive. So just have a think about that. If you're looking at investing into further asset classes in 2024 and 2025, you need to really do some research. And if you're not into Bitcoin, the question is, why not? And if you haven't really studied Bitcoin, then you need to really study it, because it's only going to get worse. There's going to be more centralized networks going to be set up. Always. There'll be the new Microsoft, there'll be the new Amazon, but you're being controlled by that centralized network. So I think with Web3, which is, simply put, we've had Web 1, which was data, just web pages loading on the old 56.6K or whatever it was modem. And then we got broadband, and then we started showing pictures on there, and we started then going to Web V2, which was kind of like YouTube videos, more interactive websites. So then moving into Web 3 technology, which is decentralized. So there's nothing stopping, for those who don't know, by the way, nothing stopping you having a decentralized network. So there's loads of companies setting up, there's decentralized like file servers. So at the moment, if you wanted to host your, corporation on Microsoft, you'd use Azure. Or if you want to host it on Amazon, you'd host it on AWS, and you'd have file server containers with inside those cloud services to store your data. But again, it's centralized. So if a network goes down, or you just don't want to be controlled by a entity, a corporation, whatever you want to call it, then you can basically look for different options. And Web3 technology is now bringing that to the forefront, right? So you're going to have file server storage that's going to be decentralized. We've got that already. You've got rendering services, for videos, studios. And rather going through a Microsoft network, you can go through a decentralized network, and nobody owns that data that you're putting through other than you. So I think it's really, really critical. And it just got me thinking. I am on an annual leave at the moment, but it got me thinking, why am I doing this channel? I hope this was useful, but do me a favor, like, share, comment the video. Let's get some dialogue going. It'd be really interested to get your feedback on where you are on your Bitcoin or crypto journey. But for me, do your research into Bitcoin. It's fundamental with the way the world is going. Do you want to be controlled, or do you not want to be controlled? Sorry, the sun's getting to my head. So I'm going to leave you on that. Have a wonderful day and evening wherever you are in the world, and we'll speak soon.